What is up, guys? It is UTMB week. The hype is building. I'm super stoked for it. So we're actually going to do a few little race previews here on this channel. So today we're going to take a look at the men's race. So let's go ahead and let's dive right in. All right, so let's go ahead and let's dive on into the men's race here. First off, this is going to be arguably the most loaded men's 100-mile field in the history of the world. This field is absolutely stacked. It's insane. As long as everyone continues to get to the starting line healthy, this is going to be an absolutely insane race. Like I said, I'm absolutely stoked for this race, and I'm excited to follow along with all the online coverage. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at some of the more notable storylines in the race. The one thing that I'm most interested in seeing is this kind of the changing of the guard. So for those of you, if you're watching this video, you're probably familiar with Killian. In my opinion, probably the greatest mountain ultra trail athlete of all time. He's been doing it for a long time. He's won countless races. He's got a number of course records. Just a week ago, he won another race, set another course record. He's in phenomenal shape, but he is kind of on the back nine of his career. So is this, his time to hand the torch over to the up-and-comer Jim Walmsley, who just set the course record at Western States, had an incredible run there. He's had rough goes at the 100-mile distance. Anything under, he's essentially been untouchable, but he's nailed the 100-mile distance now. So is this the time where we see kind of the old guard go out and hand the torch off to the new guard? And this little girl wants to be involved in the preview. So the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to is the new guard, are they going to push out kind of that old lead there? And so that's kind of the big storyline that I'm looking forward to. The kind of smaller storylines are, how well can the American men, the U.S. men do at this race? I think that there are a ton of just really talented American runners coming over who have been, having good seasons or who have been very consistent in the past. And so that's a storyline being here in the U.S. that I'm really looking to follow, is how can, some of these American men do. I honestly think it's going to be one of the best UTMB races for American men in the history of the race. So I'm really excited to see how that pans out. And then lastly, I'm really excited just for the depth of the field. I think that that's kind of a storyline in and of itself. This field is insanely deep. You've got the Killian Jim show up at the front, but there's a dozen other guys who could potentially win this race. So, I'm really, really excited to see how competitive the field is and how many people are kind of battling back late in the race to pick up those top 5, top 10 slots. So now that we've talked about some of the kind of the major storylines that I foresee coming out of the race, I do want to kind of briefly make my top 5 predictions, plus a couple other people to watch for, and then one dark horse here. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at that. So we will go ahead and start out with our 5th place finisher here in terms of my prediction. And I have Zack Miller finishing 5th place. He's been to UTMB before. He's won CCC. He's had a tough go at UTMB. He's done really well at basically all other distances, but I really think that this is Zach's year. He hasn't really been over racing, it doesn't seem like. He's kind of just had his nose to the grindstone. I really think that this is his opportunity to really kind of break through, have a big race, and finish in the top 5 there for the first time at UTMB for him. In 4th place, I've got Luis Alberto Hernando. He has been absolutely dominating every race basically around the 50-mile distance. He struggled a little bit at the 100-mile distance, but as dominant as he has been at the 50-mile distance, he's absolutely incredible. He's beaten some really good competition in the recent years at Transvolcania. He is incredibly talented. I really see him having a big race. Again, he hasn't done super well at the 100-mile distance, but he's an absolutely insane talent, and I really foresee him being kind of up near the front late in the race, really running people down from behind. And in third, I've got Tim Tollefson from the U.S. You know, I bounced back and forth on where to pick Tim. He hasn't really been finishing as well as of late compared to what he had been doing in recent years, but he's been on the podium at UTMB. He knows the course, he knows the mountains, and, you know, Tim's just a really consistent guy. I can't see him, you know, not finishing on the podium again. I think he's going to have a great race. I think he's going to run smart. Again, it's easy to get caught up in the Jim and Killian show. I think Tim runs a really smart race, runs people down late in the race, and comes in third for the U.S. And in second, this one I've been going back and forth on. I do think that Jim Walmsley is going to come up a little bit short this year. Like I said, he's been absolutely on fire. I want Jim to win this race. I'm a huge Jim fan. Killian's just the GOAT in my opinion. And I think it's going to be a really close race. It really could go either way. I've got Jim finishing second, mainly because it's a little bit less in his wheelhouse in terms of the course. If this were a Western States, Jim's the best in the world. No one's going to beat Jim at a more runnable 100-mile race. No one's going to beat Jim at a runnable race under 100 miles. This is a really tough mountain race. I think this is a little bit outside Jim's comfort zone. He's still going to have a really great race. He's going to put on a really great show, but I do see him coming up just a little bit short. And that brings us to my prediction for the 2018 UTMB champ. Not really going out on much of a limb here. I think Killian gets it done. You know, I've said it over and over. In my opinion, he's the greatest mountain ultra trail runner of all time. He Facebook lived for the first hour or 2 hours of the race last year. Still finished second. He's incredible. He just set a new course record at a race just this past week. He's been absolutely on fire coming off an injury. I think Killian gets it done, and I think it's going to be a really fast race. The way I see this race panning out, these two are going for it from the gun. You're going to see someone like Zack Miller out there early on, I think. So the pace is going to be really hot early on. You'll see some other runners up there early on that I'm going to talk about here in just a second, but I think it's really going to be a hot pace early on. I think he's healthy, and I think he's strong enough to really put this one away. And I think he's going to be your 2018 UTMB champion. Moving on to a couple other guys that I just want to put as kind of honorable mentions. I think that both these guys have a really good shot at finishing in the top 5. Unfortunately, I'm given what I think's going to happen. These guys are more than capable of being up there. So my first honorable mention is going to be Xavier Thevenard. He's been racing really well. Let's be real, he basically won the Hard Rock 100. He was absolutely crushing it 90 miles in before getting DQ'd. You know, regardless of what your thoughts are on that, he's super fit. My only concern is that he did just do Hard Rock. You know, that's going to take some sting out of your legs. UTMB and Hard Rock, that double is pretty tough. You know, like I said, he could easily be up in the top 5. He could be challenging for the lead or for the win, to be perfectly honest. But you know, I just predict that Hard Rock's gonna take a little bit out of his legs, and he's gonna be just outside the top 5, maybe in like that, you know, 6, 7, 8 spot is where I would see him. Definitely in the top 10. I've got him predicted just outside the top 5. And then my other honorable mention here is Mr. Reliable, Alex Nichols. He's really consistent. He's run some really great races. He's been in big races on the big stage. You know, he's another guy who I think could easily sneak into the top 5. I've got him just outside, but he's really fit. I think he's going to really have a great race this weekend. And then one last guy I want to mention. He's kind of my dark horse in this year's race. I don't know how much of a dark horse you can really consider him, but that is Scotty Hawker of New Zealand. You know, he was 11th here last year. I've seen a lot of his racing and his training. I think he's really fit. I think he could be a guy who slides up into that top 10, maybe even up into that top 5 this year if he has a good race. And you never know what kind of carnage the Jim and Killian fiasco up front could cause. So Scotty Hawker is another guy just to keep your eye on. amongst a bunch of other guys that I didn't mention. So, if you're wanting some more in-depth coverage, go ahead and check out iRunFar's race preview. I will link that down below. They do really incredible coverage, so make sure you check out their race preview. And that's going to do it for my men's race preview today. Like I said, I'm really excited for this race. Again, you could argue that this is one of the most competitive men's fields in the history of the race. My stoke level is through the roof, so I'm super excited. And so that is going to do it for today's video. We will be back tomorrow with the ladies preview. If you liked today's video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below so that you can stay tuned to my channel. I do a lot of training vlogs. I do a lot of pre-race videos. I may even do a post-race video with my thoughts after UTMB. So make sure you subscribe down below. Make sure you hit that little notification bell so that you're notified as soon as I upload a video on this channel. And stay tuned to tomorrow. Peace.